This thing here is an absolute weapon. I'm telling you, if you're a photographer or a filmmaker, you need to have this phone, because this phone is by far the best camera I've ever seen on a smartphone. This is legit. So I've had the S20 Ultra now for a little over a week, 8 days. I think I've gone out and shot with it every single day. I've tried to test out all the features and sort of do as much as I possibly can with this phone. For photographers and filmmakers, this is 100% a game changer. All right, so let's go over the facts real quick. Number one, 108 megapixel stills. My camera here is what, like 20 megapixels or something, the 1DX Mark II, and that costs like $10,000. This thing here shoots 108 megapixel stills, which is Pro Photo mode, which is shoots raw photos. It's also brought back Pro Video mode, which is a massive plus for me because I love shooting videos on my phone. And also, for the first time ever, it's the first smartphone that shoots 8K. Which is like, now we're in red territory. We're talking about reds right now. On paper, this thing is insane, which is one of the reasons why I was so excited to actually get my hands on it and check it out. And I can tell you right now, from actually going out, using the phone and testing it for a week or so, it definitely lived up to its expectation. Like, this thing is insane. All right, so first things first, let's talk about video. And obviously the major highlight of this phone is the fact that it has the capability to shoot 8K. 8K is pretty new. Obviously Samsung have 8K TVs, but to be able to shoot 8K on your phone is incredible. So the other day I went out and I shot a bunch of stuff in 8K just to sort of see what the footage looked like once I brought it onto my computer. I played around with the color a little bit, and I was honestly really surprised with how well it turned out. I thought it was going to be kind of just like an upscaled, punched in 4K, but this thing is super high quality. Like, the detail is super crisp. You can definitely tell that this is 8K footage. My computer had a tough time processing all that footage, but the 8K is super crispy, it's super sharp, and you can also grab 30 megapixel stills from the 8K footage, which is another bonus. The only downside of the 8K is the fact that it does punch in on the sensor quite a bit, so you're gonna have to sort of stand back from your subject a little more than you usually would. And it also only shoots in 24 frames a second, so you can't be shooting 60 frames a second in 8K, but that's okay because the phone actually shoots 4K at 60 frames a second. I just feel like, for me personally, I'm going to be using the 4K a lot more because I can also get the wide angle with the zoom lens, and I can also shoot in Pro Video mode. So I actually threw the phone on the gimbal here. This is the DJI Osmo 2. The phone is actually so big and heavy that I had to clamp a counterweight onto this front arm here just so that the phone would balance. So I was running around with the phone on this gimbal. I got some super smooth footage in 8K. Looks amazing. The internal stabilization on this phone is actually amazing as well. After going out and shooting with this, I feel like I'm not gonna need this. So I can have just like a handheld grip either side of the phone and just shoot like that. This camera honestly blew my mind in terms of video. Like, the 8K footage is insane. I was on my phone playing it back and I was just punching in, and I could see detail that was like 100 meters away and it was still sharp. So the 8K is definitely a plus for me. I'm planning on shooting a full cinematic video just on the phone in 8K. That'll be out for you to see soon. But all in all, in terms of video, can't go wrong with this. All right, moving on to the stills aspect. I think for everybody, the most impressive feature on this phone has to be the 100 times zoom. 100 times zoom. I've definitely made good use of the zoom. I've gone out and tested it a bunch and it's really impressive. I honestly, when I saw this on paper, I thought it's gonna be one of those things where you can zoom in 100 times, but the quality is not gonna be there at all. And that is true to a degree, but I found you can zoom up to 30 times and still get a really sharp, crisp image. So here's a few examples of just some of the shots that I've gotten with the zoom function of this phone. And to be honest with you, I was surprised. Like, the quality of the zoom feature is way better than what I expected it to be. It's basically like having a 70 to 200 millimeter lens in your pocket. Who would have thought that you would be able to capture images like this standing in the same position just on your phone? For me, the zoom feature is probably the most impressive part about this camera. You can get some really cool angles, some really cool perspectives just standing in the one position, and I think for me that's the most impressive thing. The other really impressive thing that I love about this phone is the fact that it shoots raw photos. photos. So I went out the other night and I was shooting raw photos in the city, and I was just dumping them straight into Lightroom Mobile, editing them on my phone. I had full control of all the color, all the dynamic range was still there. Felt like I was shooting on my Canon. And yeah, I was just really impressed. The quality on this thing is insane. 108 megapixel stills. I've taken a bunch of photos in 108 megapixels, and it's insane how much detail this thing actually captures. You could take a wide photo of a beach and literally zoom in on a person's face, which is kind of scary, but at the same time, it's pretty incredible that you have that amount of range to play with in a photo that you've just taken on your phone. My actual DSLR probably couldn't do that. I think for anybody looking to get into photography or film and they want to sort of start on their phone, start with a cheaper option, this is, like I said, a game changer. It's what I'm using every day at the moment, so I'm keen to keep shooting with it. Hope you enjoyed the content that I captured. As I said, working on a cinematic 8K video shot on the phone, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't done so already, please like this video. It helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video.